All right, folks, let's start our tour not in the front seat because as you can see, it's pretty much identical to what you get in the 5-seat Model Y. No, instead, we're going to focus on the back seat because I'm pretty sure, I've got a hunch, that this is the area that you guys are actually interested in hearing about. Okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to get the power on. Oh, there we go. We're back on. Now, this is the space we have, and as you notice, we have 2 individual captain's chairs. You'll also notice there's a baby seat there just to illustrate what kind of space there is, because I'm assuming that you are a family buyer. This is a 3-row vehicle, typically something that family buyers like to have. You want to see what a baby seat looks like in it. Well, there you go. That's what it looks like. There's actually quite a bit of room. This is kind of a bulky unit. In a lot of mid-size SUVs, I tend to find that the top of the baby's headrest runs very close to the top of my headrest in the front. Here we've got enough of an air gap. It's pretty comfortable. And also note that this seat can go a smidge back as well if I want to increase that distance. But that is a very comfortable fit, which is great. Also, a comfortable fit is the way I'm fitting into this car. I'm not sure if you can quite see it just from this POV, but I've got a crazy amount of foot room down there. My little doggies have room to roam, but also stacks of knee room there. The front passenger seat is a comfortable distance from the front. If it isn't, I believe I can adjust that by going into here. Yep, okay. So I can move the front seat forward and backward if I need more room, or if I want to annoy the passenger in front of me. But also to note, there is power retractable armrests, and it brings my inboard elbow to a pretty comfortable height, and certainly actually the identical height to the door armrest, which is good. Also, speaking of what's up here, you can see a B-pillar vent. This is great. This is fantastic. You're not just relying on the vent in the back of the center console, which is mostly this, I think it's actually identical to what you see in the back of a Model Y with the Juniper update with that 8-inch screen there, which you can also run entertainment and games and stuff, which is nice for your little ones that are traveling with you. But right now we're talking about seats, so I'll bring the seat screen back up because also in the second row we have seat heating and ventilation, which is a real nice to have. Certainly not something that you typically find as a standard offering in a medium SUV. The ventilation part mainly, heated seats, is becoming a little bit more common. But also, what else can I talk about? We've got some pretty decently sized door bins down there. And this is kind of hidden, so it's not quite obvious. I think Tesla probably need to do a better job of increasing the signage of what is what in this cabin. You got some fold-out cup holders down there. That's where they are. If you're wondering where your rear seat cup holders are for your second row passengers, that's them. Also, a little bit hard to spot. It might be difficult to spot in the video because it is a little bit dark down there. 2 USB-C ports as well. Keep your devices charged up. This might look like hard plastic. It is actually kind of soft-ish vinyl, so it's not a hard shell, which is nice. I prefer that. Prefer it to be fully upholstered, but at least that's good. What I would also like to see maybe is like I don't know, some kind of clip for a tablet or something, which is some rival brands may offer. I think that's also a good thing if you have young children who are dependent on electronics. But speaking of keeping your family comfortable, I just want to say that this is the kind of thing, this is what I think is the key advantage of this layout. Because in case I didn't mention it already, this is a 6-seater only. There is no 7-seat version of the Model Y L, not in this country anyway. It's 6 seats or nothing. And you have it in a 2-2-2 configuration. Obviously you can see the aisle between the 2 middle seat captain's chairs. That's great because I can pivot my bum and face my baby and strap her in and get her comfortable, all within the comfort of my car. I'm protected from the rain, protected from the weather. It's It's spacious enough that I can do all this stuff, all this baby admin, and then exit out and drive the car. But I don't have to sort of hover over her, bending over through the doorway to do that. I can simply just turn and face her, and I have all this room to put my legs. I'm not sort of having to scooch up side by side on a bench seat like this, for example, and do all that. It's not quite as ergonomic, in my opinion. And also, once the baby seat is there, you have a means of getting to that third row that doesn't require a second row seat to be folded or flipped or slid forward out of the way. The middle row seats can stay exactly where they are, and you can simply walk between them. I think that's a superior way of doing it. Also, one last thing about the second row seats, electrically adjustable. So down on the outboard side of the seat squab, you have controls to slide forward and backward, also recline. It's all electric, and the seats themselves they're pretty comfortable. They're a little bit flat in the squab. The under thigh support maybe could be a little bit better, but other than that, it's pretty comfy place to be. And you have the screen within easy reach, which is great. Speaking of weather, you will notice there is no physical sun blind up here. It's the norm for a Tesla. They don't have retractable, opaque sun blinds in their vehicles. They just have a big expansive glass. Tesla says that the optical coatings on this glass mean that UV and infrared shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't cause sunburn. It shouldn't cause you to get hotter than you would be if it was just a steel roof. But for some people, they may just want something there. They may not like the visual distraction of the scenery rushing past overhead. I don't know, whatever their reasons. It would be nice to have, but if you're accustomed to the Tesla way of doing things, you'll know that this is just how they do it. Let's go into the third row, because that is the USP of the Model Y L, isn't it? As you can see, they're folded down, creating this fairly cavernous boot space. I'll put the luggage capacities up on screen. This is probably just an easier way of conveying that information. It's actually I think it's 400 plus liters with the third row up, which is pretty decent, but I suspect that number includes the underfloor storage down there, which maybe I could actually just crawl back here and show you without opening the boot. There you go. Yeah. So beneath the false floor, you've got a pretty deep cavity with which to jam whatever you want, and two other cavities either side. So, all right, how to raise those things from their stowed position? It's actually pretty easy, because like the second row, they are also electrically adjustable. So if I just hit this button down here, that's raising that one. Very good. And if I hit that other one, there we go. Now the only manual part of them is the headrest. You have to do that, and they are ready for you to enter. So let's do so. And here we are. It's yeah, it's all right. I'm not sure if all you're seeing is headlining, which, by the way, is black as part of the 2026 update. This isn't a performance or anything. It's just black as the new headliner color. My head is completely under the hatch glass. I can feel a little bit of heat radiating off it, but I think it's because this car has been parked in the sun for a little while. But it's not a glass house. It's not. Oh, I mean, it literally is a glass house, but it's not a hot house. You know, I'm not exactly sweating. The AC is obviously still running, because I don't want to die of heat stroke. But also, even back here, I'm able to stay cool because we do have third row face level ventilation, which is great. Not a lot of 3-row SUVs include that, which really annoys me. I think if you're putting people back here, they should still be comfortable. But we also even have electric recline adjust on the third row backrest. That is definitely unusual for this segment. It's not a lot of adjustment. It's a few degrees, but it might make a difference if you're on a long road trip and you just want to be a little bit more comfortable, have a snooze or something. Getting that extra recline is a nice thing to have. Obviously, impinges a bit on the luggage space behind you, but not by much. You also, by the way, have a cup holder down here, integrated into the armrest. And down here, where my fingers are a couple of USB-C ports. I think that's a really vulnerable place to put USB-C ports. I don't like it. I kind of wish it was more up here, out of the way, but hey, for whatever reason, they've decided to go with that. That's probably the thing I dislike the most about this third row. Everything else is not too bad. You can see the middle row is in a very comfortable position for me, like a fully grown adult sitting in it with plenty of legroom, and I still have enough knee room. If I wanted more, I'd just ask them to scooch forward a little bit and get a few more centimeters. It's actually quite comfortable. I'm going to say that it looks less comfortable than it actually is. My body's fitting in here pretty well. There's a little bit of scalloping to the backrest, which definitely helps. Again, this is upholstered. This is actually soft vinyl. It's not hard plastic. I know it probably looks like hard plastic on the video, but it isn't. And things fit reasonably well. There is enough toe room underneath the second row seat. Not as much as there is in the second row itself, but there is enough. Your left foot fits between the rails of that second row seat, and your inboard foot and leg kind of has to hang out in the aisle, which I think is, if you had two people back here and both have legs and feet that need to be accommodated, that's probably going to be a little bit squeezy. But if there's just one adult back here, it's not too bad. If it's two kids, there's probably not a problem at all. This seat is almost at the very rear of its travel, so that kind of gives you an idea of how much foot room is available when the second row seat is slid almost all the way back. You could, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. I think this position is probably a little bit more desirable, but bear in mind that there is a very bulky child seat back there, and that definitely takes up a lot of room. You could, by the way, put this child seat where I am, in the third row, which is, again, another thing that is not really 100% common in the mid-size SUV, or I guess this is a large SUV now. The footprint of this thing, by the way, is about the same as a Toyota Kluger. That's pretty big. But you could put a baby seat in the third row because it is equipped with not only ISOFIX mounts, but also top tethers. So yeah, if you've got an ISOFIX compatible seat, you can plug it in here and of course anchor it with your top tether there. That's the same for this seat, this seat, this seat, and this seat. So you could fit 4 babies in the back of a Model Y L if you are one of those prolific breeder types. Or you could just fit a more sensible number of children back here and some grandparents. Well, 1 or 2 grandparents, that'd be a comfortable fit. This is actually not a bad place. If there's a rear-facing baby, I could sit back here. I'm comfortable enough if I don't have anyone next to me, and I can see Bub over there, whether they're having a good time or not, and pass them a bottle even, you're within easy reaching distance without having to unbuckle your seatbelt. This is actually, I think this is a pretty well thought out cabin as far as SUVs go. I didn't think that the packaging for the Model Y L would be this good, considering that they're basing it off a mid-size SUV platform. I wasn't quite sure that there was really enough cabin volume to work with, particularly in the third row, because I would have expected there to be a big headroom crunch. By the way, I'm only 5'8". I'm not exactly a huge guy, but I fit under here comfortably. I've got, like, I want to say 6 to 8 centimeters of head clearance above the top of my dome, and I have seen people taller than me fit in here quite comfortably. We're talking, 6-ish feet. I think if you have a very long torso, then maybe you might run into headroom issues, but as it is, without slouching, I'm still very comfortable back here. And also you have a reasonably good view. This quarter glass is a good enough size, but also a good shape, because the edge of this, the corner of this triangle is about where your eye is. So you have a good eye line out through there. So you can still see the outside world rush past, and you're not cooped back here. A lot of third row seats are really claustrophobic and they just make me ill. This is actually not too bad. Even though there's a very sort of bulky headrest in front of me, I'm getting a good view out through the side and obviously up through the top because of all this glass. Oh, and should mention, you even get map lights back here, which is nice. What else should I mention? This, you may have noticed, this top tether arrangement, I'm not sure if that's really optimal. Usually it goes over the shoulders of a seat, right? But as you can see, because they've gone with a very kind of sporty shape for the backrest as a second row, you can't really do that. It just wants to slip down all the time, being that it is in a rear-facing configuration right now. If it was forward-facing, it probably wouldn't be an issue. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's optimal. So please don't crucify me in the comments. I'm flagging this as being potentially a concern. I simply wanted to put a child seat there to show you what's up with that and the general sort of proportion of it. Okay, now I don't want this review to be 100% about the back seat, because that is, you know, it's part of the experience, it's a pretty important part of the Model Y L experience, but there is still some stuff to glean from the driver's seat. So let's move up there. I'll chat to you about that in a second. Let's go. Okay, welcome back. We are on the road now, and there's a few differences that you need to be aware of in terms of the mechanical package of this, the driveline, certainly the battery, but also the suspension. It's not just an elongated Model Y. It's a little bit more than that. The motor output in terms of power is the same, but it does have more torque, and also because of the wheelbase stretch, we have a bigger capacity battery. Now, Tesla themselves don't really talk about battery capacities and kilowatt hours. They try to be a bit vague about it, but they do have range claims as well. And a range claim for this one is definitely a fair whack more than the standard 5-seat, despite having a little bit more weight. And in terms of extra weight, it's not that much. I did the maths the other day. I can't remember the exact number, but it's on the screen for you right now. Now, that obviously is great for having some extra range and a little bit of extra torque, but also we have some critical suspension differences in the form of the dampers. This has adaptive damper tech on it. It is the only other Model Y besides the Performance to get adaptive dampers. Everything else is on passives. For whatever reason, they've decided that adaptive should be standard on this, at least for the Australian and New Zealand spec car. Now, I've been driving this car in both balanced and rear comfort mode for a little while now, and both are really agreeable. Balanced is just fine. I'd probably be quite happy if just left it there and that was the default locked-in mode. Rear comfort is also good. It does result in a little bit more vertical travel, I guess, with the damper stroke. The wheel just moves up and down, and the wheel wells just a little bit more. It's a subtle difference. It's not heaps, but I think it might become a bit more pronounced if I had more weight in the back. If I had 2 or 3 or 4 passengers back there, it might become a little bit more obvious what the effect of rear comfort is. But to be honest with you, they're both fine. They both ride really well, which was a great comfort to me, because the first time I drove a Model Y after it launched, and obviously in the pre-update form, I was absolutely not impressed by the ride quality of that thing. It was like a roller skate, which seemed like a really weird fit for what was otherwise just a fairly ordinary electric family SUV, mid-size SUV. I thought it rode terribly. This thing rides really good. I'm not sure if you can hear it. I'm not sure if the microphone is picking it up at all, but there is a little bit of suspension slap as we go over, some corrugations and stuff. But that's something that you hear more than you feel in this car. It generally rides pretty well. I haven't thrown it at some really gnarly sort of, performance-y roads, but I don't think it's a gnarly performance-y car. So around town, where most of you guys and girls are going to be driving this thing, it's actually a really well-judged suspension. It's hard to fault. I think maybe with more time and more experience, and maybe driving on a greater diversity of roads, maybe we'll find some limitations there. But as it is, I think this is actually a suspension that all Model Ys should have. It's really comfortable. I think if there is a case to extend the adaptive damper availability to other models in the Model Y range, besides just the Performance and the YL, I think that would be a good move by Tesla. Otherwise, the driving experience should be really familiar to any of you who've driven a Model Y, especially a post-update, the Juniper facelift. Everything else seems to be pretty much identical. Certainly, as you can see, the big screen, the 16-inch now, that's standard for 26, model year 26 and on. Big screen, you've got the shifter up there. This is the first time I've driven a Juniper, and to be honest, I got used to that pretty quickly, a lot faster than I expected. I was fully expecting to moan about it in this video to you, but to be honest, yeah, I've adjusted fairly well. I haven't come into a situation where it's been genuinely annoying. I think maybe if I'm sort of doing a Austin Powers turn in a very crowded and cramped car park, perhaps, maybe it'll be frustrating because you don't have that tactile feedback. You're just sliding your finger across a completely smooth screen. But so far, so good. Everything else is pretty intuitive. I really dislike control clustering within screens. I very much hate it. It's my preference to at least have some physical buttons for certain controls, certainly audio and climate control. But to be honest with you, Tesla probably does the best job of control clustering in a sort of virtual display environment, as you see here. It kind of makes sense. They've thought about what the user is going to do, and they've structured the various menus and screens accordingly. It works better than I want to admit, but yeah, it is a thing if you really hate screens. Maybe this isn't the car for you. Maybe Tesla isn't the brand for you, but in my experience, it's been okay. It's been okay. You also have the same sort of fast rack ratio steering that you get in the regular Model Y. It doesn't really feel too different, even though there is a wheelbase stretch with, wheelbase is 3 meters plus now, and that's pretty long. But it doesn't seem to translate into a dramatically different feel to the car. The differences come really through the suspension dampers rather than any kind of differences in suspension geometry. It still uses the same suspension cradles and basic geometry there. So yeah, no surprise, it does feel pretty similar. In terms of the thrust, well, you just have chill and standard. There's no ludicrous or anything like that, which is fine with me. It's a family SUV. It's a 3-row SUV. You don't need crazy amounts of power. And in standard mode, it is more than quick enough. The claim is, I believe, 5 seconds 0 to 100, and it definitely feels that when you boot it. If I do get an opportunity to boot it at a stoplight, maybe I'll do that for you. But trust me, I've done more than a few pulls right now, and it feels pretty honest, that number, 5 seconds to 100. I would, yeah, trust that number. It's a little bit slower than the 5-seat. I think the 5-seat does it in 4.8, the equivalent spec, obviously, the premium long-range all-wheel drive. Yeah, it's a smidge faster than this thing, but look, 5 seconds is fast enough when we're talking about these kinds of rigs. Anyway, I think that's sort of it. I don't need to get lost in the weeds on Model Ys. You're probably fairly familiar with the nitty-gritty through other reviews by this point. I really just wanted to focus on the backseat experience, and hopefully I've answered most of the questions you may have about that. If you have further questions, you know what to do. Hop into the comments. We will do our best to answer them for you. And of course, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. That's always a really good one. And maybe even consider downloading the carsales app, where we keep all of this information centralized for you and easy to search. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Talk soon. Goodbye.